All right, so you may want to pause and take a look at the question. And pause. Here we have a question that asks us to interpret a pie chart from a couple different perspectives. One of the ways that they really try to tap into is connecting the area of the pie with the percent that's represented. And I'm going to grab a pen here. One of the first things to do is try to figure out different ways to kind of gauge what percent of a circle a certain slice is. So you may think about, let's see, yeah, there we go. It's not going to be perfect. So here we've divided it into 4 equal slices, meaning that each slice is 25% of the pie. Where it gets a little tricky is it may not be cut and dry, like perfectly aligned, vertical and horizontal. It may be a little bit twisted. This is just a really rough one. You could have something like this slice here would also be 25%, even though it's kind of at an angle, right? Another way you might divide it is, let's come in from the middle. If I asked about what percent of the data is this slice represent, well, we can see that if we would draw like a right angle here, if we would come straight out perpendicular to this line here, that would be 25% of the data. 90 degrees is going to be 25. But we can see here we have more than a quarter of the data. We have more than that 25%. And yet at the same time, in order to have 50%, there'd have to be a line straight across. So if we don't have quite that much, then we have to have less than 50%. So that's how we can, and we can see it's probably, this line is probably closer to the 25% than the 50%. So if I were going to guess, I'd put something like a third of the data, or 33% rather of the data is in that slice. Now, are you going to be able to tell exactly? No, they're not going to make you do it exactly, and that's why the question B is written as it is. So let's take a look now. A, which category was chosen by approximately 1/4? So 1/4 is 25%. 0.25, 1 divided by 4 is 0.25, 25%. So we need to find the slice that's 1/4 of the pie. Now, these other sports and documentary, those pretty clearly look too small. Drama, maybe comedy, and maybe news might all be contenders for 1/4. But remember, 1/4 of the data is going to have a 90-degree angle. You look at the angle for news, that's clearly well over a 90-degree angle. That's more of this kind of spread instead of like a 90-degree like that. Similarly, comedy, that's less than 90 degrees. That's an acute angle. Any angle that's less than 90 is an acute angle. So that's pretty clearly less than 1/4 of those surveyed. So that leaves us with drama as the category that would represent 1/4 of those surveyed. I also mentioned that in order for this to work, these slices have to add up to 100%. We can't have this slice representing 50% and this slice representing 60%. If you add up the percent of each slice, it should add up to roughly 100%. Maybe a little rounding error is okay. The other thing to note is that, let's see. Oh, each person surveyed here can only go into one category because we're talking about parts of the whole. So if I liked drama and comedy, I could not be included in both the dramedy and comedy slice. And the way they prevented that in the survey is they asked their favorite type. So each person here is in exactly one slice, no more nor less, just like contingency tables we saw recently. What percent of those surveyed choose other or drama? So we're looking at the drama, the other. Now we just said that the drama category was about 1/4, which as a percent would be 25%. And the other is going to add to that. So the very lowest this could be, if it's a multiple of 10%, the very lowest this could be is 30%. because we have to be higher than 25%. So the question is it 30%, 40%? It's pretty clearly not 50%, because 50% would be a line straight across the circle, and it would be half of the circle. So do we go with 30 or 40? Well, if we went with 40, that would mean that the rest of this half was only 10%. So that would be saying that this other category is 15%, because drama plus 15 would be 40. And then this sports plus documentary would only be 10%. That clearly isn't right. Other is smaller than sports and documentary combined. So that's how we know that this is 30% and not 40%. Again, if this were 40%, that would leave only 10% for sports. Finally, if 6% of those surveyed chose sports, what chose comedy? Well, here's where it's pretty hard to estimate this one. I mean, we can see we're asking how many of these sports slices fit into this comedy slices, and that's not an easy eyeball question. But when you look at the options, you can use those to help you. It can't be 300% because all the slices have to add up to 100%. Can't be 2% because comedy is bigger than sports. So it's really between 18% and 36%. Those are the two potential answers. And if sports is 6%, we have to ask ourselves, is comedy 3 times that? That would give us 18%. Or is comedy 6 of those sports slices? That would give us 36%. In that case, it's looking like it's only 3 of those sports slices that could fit in. If you drew this on a piece of paper, cut it out, and took that sports slice, it would fit into comedy only 3 times. We could also see that the angle for comedy is less than 90 degrees. So like we talked about before, it has to be less than 25% of the data. So 36% would not be reasonable. There you go. So again, there's no clear and fast necessary way that you can do these, or that you have to do these. But you start to build some tools, and thinking about right degree angle equals 25% of the data, that's pretty helpful.